Then the Shaw Falcon, tossing up his head, blink-hooded as it was, behold, he said, I am the chosen comrade of the king, and perch upon the fist that wears the rings. Born, bred, and nourished in the royal court, I take the royal name and make the sport. And if discipline I undergo, and half my life am blinded, be it so, because the Shaw's companion ill may brook on aught save royal company to look. And why am I to leave my king, and fare with all these rebel wings, I know not where? Oh, blind indeed the answer was, and dark to any but a vulgar mortal mark, and drunk with pride and vassalage to those whose humor like their kingdom comes and goes, all mutability, who one day please to give, and next day what they gave not seize, like to the fire a dangerous friend at best, which who keeps farthest from does wiseliest. A certain Shaw there was in days forgone, who had a lovely slave he doted on, and cherished as the apple of his eye, clad gloriously, fed sumptuously, set high, and ever was at ease, were he not by, who yet, for all this sunshine day by day, was seen to wither like a flower away, which when observing one without the veil of favor acts the favorite, why so pale and sad? Thus sadly answered the poor thing, no sun that rises sets until the king, whose archery's famous among men, aims at an apple on my head, and when the stricken apple splits, those who stand around cry low the Shaw's unerring hand. Then he too laughing asks me why so pale and sorrow some, as could the Sultan fail, who such a master of the bow confessed, and aiming by the head that he loves best. Then on a sudden swooped the phoenix down, as though he wore as well as gave the crown, and cried, I care not, I to wait on kings, whose crown are but the shadow of my wings. Ay, was the answer, and pray, how has sped, on which it lighted many a mortal head. A certain Sultan dying, his vizier in dream beheld him, and in mortal fear began, O mighty Shaw of Shaws, thrice blessed, but loud the vision shrieked and struck its breast, and stabbed me not with the empty title, cried, one only Shaw there is, and none besides, who from his throne above for certain ends, awhile some spangle of his glory lends to men on earth, but calling in again, exacts a strict account of every grain. Sultan, I lived, and beheld the world in scorn. Oh, better had I gleaned the field of corn. Oh, better had I been a beggar born, and for my throne and crown down in the dust, my living head had laid where dead I must. Oh, withered, withered, withered be the wing, whose overcasting shadow made me king. Then from a pond where all day long he kept, waddled the dapper duck, demure adept at infinite ablution and precise, in keeping of his raiment clean and nice, and sure of all the race of birds, said he, none for religious purity like me. Beyond what strictest rituals prescribe, methinks I am the saint of all our tribe, to whom by miracle the water that I wash in also makes my praying mat, to whom more angrily than all replied the leader, lashing that religious pride, that under ritual obedience to outer law with inner might dispense. For fair as all the feather to be seen, could one see through, the maw was not so clean, but he that made both maw and feather too, would take account of, seeing through and through. A Shaw returning to his capital, his subjects dressed it forth in festival, thronging with acclamation square and street, and kneeling flung before his horse's feet, jewel and gold, all which with scarce an eye the Sultan superciliously rode by, till coming to the public prison, they who dwelt within those grisly walls, by way of welcome, having neither pearl nor gold, Over the wall, chopped head and carcass rolled, some almost parched mummy with the sun, some wet with execution, that day done. At which grim compliment, at last the Shaw drew bridle, and amid a wild hurrah of savage recognition, smiling through silver and gold among the wretched crew, and so rode forward, whereat of his train, one wondering that, while others sued in vain, with costly gifts which carelessly he passed, but smiling at ghastly welcome like the last, the Shaw made answer, all that pearl and gold, ostentatious welcome and only told, a little with great clamor from the store of hypocrites who kept at home much more. But when those severed heads and trunks I saw, save by strict execution of my law, they had not parted company, not one, but told my will, not talked about, but done. Just like we start off with this thing where you have to figure out your own thing, you have to do your own hero journey. You don't want to be a stuffed suit. It's not that the outer deeds, the outer recognition aren't important, are something to deter from, but it's better not to be acknowledged and to have a spirit of things, and to, you know, if you look at the micro expressions, there's a difference of somebody who has the spirit of the things forming the outer law and the inner law. But you get your titles and all that stuff, and you're like, you're not seeking the further knowledge. You're not, well, it's not part of my role, so why am I,